everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What the Forensics. My name is Journey, and I am joined here today by the lovely Rebecca and Nicole. This week, Rebecca will be telling us all about the case of Alexander Pichushkin, or I believe he's known as the Chessboard Killer. So we're very excited to hear about that. Before we get into his case, if you guys could just remember to leave us reviews and or comments, we love to read them. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you can. It just helps us grow and reach more people so we can keep doing what we love. And remember that while we are trying to do our best for research, we can make mistakes and we're still actively learning. So we hope you enjoy learning with us. If we do make a huge mistake, please let us know. We want to rectify it and make sure that we're putting out the best possible information. And on top of that, I would like to note that there is a listener's discretion advised, as we will be discussing murder, as we are a true crime podcast, which you probably are okay with that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening. But it feels important to say anyways. And with that, I will hand it over to Rebecca to tell us a little bit more about Alexander Pichushkin.
Thank you. So, what if a community's love for chess would unknowingly become a killer's ploy for luring innocent people to their deaths? Unfortunately, for at least 48 people who frequented their local park to play chess at the public tables with their neighbors, their last game of chess would be played with the man named Alexander Pichushkin, which is very sad. I had that written a little bit differently, but I didn't follow it, and then I couldn't keep the suspense. So,
That's okay. It's going a completely different direction than I had thought it was going to go. So I'm hooked.
First sentence had me hooked anyways, and I was in it. So
Yeah.
oh,
It's all
good.
good. It's all good.
So, we're going to talk first about Pichushkin's early life and kind of how he was growing up, because that is kind of important to the story as a whole. So, Pichushkin was born in Mytishki, Russia on April 9th of 1974. But he was raised in an apartment in Moscow by his single mother after his father had walked out on the family when Pichushkin was just 1 year old. They lived in a 2-bedroom apartment complex, which was actually happened to be the apartment that his mother grew up in since she was 11 years old. So that was just an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So Pichushkin was said to be a normal young boy who loved to go playing at Pitsev's. I had this
there's gonna be
down
a lot
earlier.
of Russian words in this.
Yeah,
I feel like.
I had this down earlier. He would love to go playing at Bitsbesky Park, which was just a short walk from where he and his mother were living. I also want to note, because it's important, just in terms of serial killer typologies, this doesn't really play into the case as a whole. I just thought it was interesting. Pichushkin was noted as a young boy to love animals. He would never dream of hurting an animal. He deeply cared for them. Which, in terms of, as we know, kind of the serial killer top 3 of like what to look out for when they're kids, is not regular for a serial killer.
No, that's kind of odd,
So,
but good.
yeah, right? So, the Bitsevsky Park is a beautiful, sprawling, forested natural park, which is considered to be one of the largest in Russia. And it boasts beautiful nature trails and outdoor activity areas. There are multiple chess tables throughout the park for people to get together and play. As I said, there's long forested nature trails, and there's also a playground where Pichushkin would frequently play when he was growing up with his mother. So when Pichushkin was just 4 years old, his mother took him to the park to play on the swings, which was a totally normal occurrence for them. And however, this day, the date is not exactly clear, but he was around 4 years old. There was an accident when they visited. He was on the swing, and his mother had very briefly turned her back. Maybe she got distracted by something. Someone called her name, whatever. But in this split second, Pichushkin fell backwards off of the swing set, hitting the ground hard. And then when he tried to get up off the swing set or off the ground, the swing came back and violently hit him square in the forehead.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Having
that's painful.
experienced similar things, that hurts.
Yeah.
So apparently, this injury actually affected him greatly. According to his mother and others that were around him growing up, he was different after this accident. He was normally a fun loving, pretty shy, but still like relatively social little kid, like kind of normal. Um, but after this accident, he began having aggressive outbursts. He became impulsive, hostile, and generally was showing like antisocial behavior. He wasn't really exhibiting the usual pro-social behaviors you expect of a young child. So I'm not positive at what age Petrushkin started school because he was only 4 at the time of this accident. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm guessing he must have already been enrolled at like maybe one of the youngest grades he could have been in because it was noted by his mother and teachers that he began acting really aggressively at school. And he began really struggling, like he kind of wasn't keeping up with his peers. And so, because of this, Petrushkin really struggled to make friends, and he was being both verbally and physically bullied by his peers. Um, and unfortunately, through all of this bullying, the kids gave him a nickname that they would not drop, which, and this is no longer a socially acceptable word, but they gave him the nickname the retard.
Oh,
That's
Yeah,
okay.
just aggressive and right out with it. Probably also kind of demonstrates how he wasn't doing too well in school, unfortunately, because kids are mean and they pick up on things.
Mhm.
Um, so, due to recent changes in his behavior and the bullying he was facing, his mother did what she thought was best for him and enrolled him in a school for disabled children. He was enrolled in this school for disabled children, and this is where he would spend multiple more years of his schooling. And then, as Pichushkin went through his adolescence, he and his grandfather, who was his mother's dad, um, they became very close. As his grandfather noticed that Pichushkin, he said, had a natural intelligence, that there was a lot of intelligence that he felt was being squashed at the school that he was attending. He didn't think he was reaching his full potential. So, from the timeline events that I found through researching, his early life, the exact timeline's a bit unclear, but sometime around the birth of Petrushkin's half sister in 1982, so Petrushkin would have been around 8 years old at this point. He moved in with his grandfather because the family apartment was just getting way too crowded. As I said, it was only a 2 bedroom, and now there was his mother, half sister, and I believe her new husband or boyfriend was living with them at the time.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, so it was just becoming too crowded for Petrushkin to kind of grow up comfortably. And he also moved in with his grandfather because he was just really close to him, and his grandfather felt that he needed a positive male role model in his life because his father had left when he was so young. Um, and this was just something they felt was important. So around 1982 ish, Petrushkin moved in with his grandfather, and it was at this point his grandfather began teaching him the game of chess. Chess became a bonding experience for the boy and his grandfather. It was a game that Petrushkin actually excelled at, and he, as a young teenager, was often found at Bitsvesky Park looking for people to play chess with at the public tables. By all accounts, Petrushkin was really good at chess. There was often exhibitions held at the Bitesky Park for chess for like kind of better, I guess, semi-competitive players would go and meet and play. And so he ended up playing at these exhibitions and would often win against the older men who had been playing chess for their entire lives. Um, Chess was really big in this park. It was known that there was kind of like this core group of older men. um, they were very frequently seen at the park just drinking vodka, having a good time, always playing chess.
That's so Russian.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it totally is. So even though Petrushkin was only like a young teenager, he didn't have friends of his own age as because he was really bullied. He just wasn't very good at being social or having like pro-social interactions. So he had kind of felt like he finally found a community that he belonged, even though it was with these elderly, probably alcoholic men, because it was through chess that they were bonding, and by all accounts, they were good to him. They respected him as they respected one another. So for a few years, Petrushkin continued living with his grandfather and playing chess with him, also going to the park and challenging people to games, and all seemed okay for a while. Petrushkin was kind of learning to control his angry outbursts a little bit because he was definitely changed after that accident on the swing set, but he was managing it. It was kind of being kept under control. But unfortunately, around the age of about 15, his grandfather had died. Um, wasn't able to find how that occurred, but given he was his grandfather, it was probably from complications of old age or something. Um, and it was the death of his grandfather, which was said to have been a major turning point in Petrushkin's life. Because of the death, and he was still just a young mid teenager, he had to move back in with his mother and half sister in their now quite cramped 2 bedroom apartment. They basically converted their living room into an additional bedroom at this point. And his anger once again began becoming uncontrollable and intense. He was getting more aggressive more frequently, he was having more aggressive outbursts. Um, and generally just seemed like he was kind of going backwards a little bit. It was said that Petrushkin went into a very deep depression following the death of his grandfather because he looked up to him and he was his role model for so long. And unfortunately, to try to numb his grief and his sadness, he, at the age of 15, turned to alcohol, which, being Russia, was vodka. He turned to vodka.
That sucks.
Yeah, it is very sad.
Yeah.
Um, so, through all of this, Petrushkin continued to play chess at home and at Bitsvesky Park. He never gave that up. It was something that his grandfather taught him. It's something they bonded over. Um, and I think it was a mix of just his love for the game and also kind of trying to keep his grandfather's memory, I guess, alive, that he continues seeking out opportunities to play. So, one of the biggest reasons, I believe this was kind of discovered through interviews that occurred after he was convicted, because there was a fair bit. Um, Apparently, one of the biggest reasons that he loved chess was not only because he was really good at it, he excelled, but it was because it gave him a sense of control and like immense satisfaction just seeing the moment that his opponents knew that he had just beat them. And I'm sure that felt pretty good as like a 15-year-old and you're playing against like a 60-year-old who's been playing for 5 decades. Probably feels pretty good. Like, I don't blame him there. So, for a while, he, of course, still had his aggression, his impulsivity. Um, and he did seek that sense of control because it did give him a lot of satisfaction, but chess very much satisfied that urge for him for a time. But unfortunately, as is the case with many budding killers, the innocent and harmless ways in which they achieve that satisfaction they're craving, it was just becoming not enough for him. It was kind of, it wasn't giving him the same sort of satisfaction that it once did. So he still enjoyed playing chess, but as I said, it just didn't really give him the same sense of accomplishment and excellence. Um, so, as the time had passed, Pichushkin had finished high school, and he didn't really have a whole lot going for him. So, after high school, he picked up a job stocking shelves at a local supermarket, and this is what he would do basically. Up until his capture, actually, he continued working at the supermarket. He never changed jobs or anything. Um, So obviously, this was more so something that he did to survive and just like keep himself busy day to day rather than getting any sort of satisfaction or enjoyment.
It's interesting that he's able to keep the same job for so long because I feel like with a lot of the serial killers we've covered, they have always switched jobs. Like they're always kind of moving from one to the next.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I was surprised to see in like all the articles and stuff that I was finding, they're like employee of supermarket kills so many people and it's like, "Oh, interesting." Like this was
Yeah.
his job fresh out of high school and it just I guess gave him enough steadiness in his life that he was like, "This is good. This is a good possibly front." I don't know. He definitely met a lot of people through his community in that way, which would kind of help him later on in his crimes.
Right.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's probably a good source of routine as well. Like if everything else
Hmm.
kind of isn't the best going on, it's something he knows he can do. He probably can do it well, and it's just something he's stuck with.
Yeah, exactly. It was a sense of familiarity for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He, at this point, as I said, graduated high school. He's 18 years old, just doing his day to day routine. And then in 1992, there was a criminal trial that was taking over the media waves of the former Soviet Union, which had actually just collapsed in the year before. It was the trial of serial killer Andrei Chikatilo, and it was the first televised since the fall of the Soviet Union.
Oh
Hmm.
wow.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Mhm.
Did we cover him?
Yeah.
Is this the
Did.
doll guy?
Yes, it
Maybe.
is the doll
Well,
guy.
not the doll guy, but he mummified his
Yeah.
victims
Yeah.
or dolls.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the one.
Okay, I do.
Yeah.
I am remembering right. Okay.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I won't go into like detail about Chikatilo's crimes because we did do an episode on it. I went back and checked. It was a long time ago. It's crazy. It was
Epis
episode 14.
Holy,
And
Crazy.
that's
right?
sorry.
And we did it, we covered it with serology. So if anyone's interested in learning about his crimes and also the science of serology, check out episode 14. Um, but I will
That
mention that Chikatilo was convicted of sexually assaulting and murdering at least 52 women and children between 1978 and 1990. And he was considered, because of this, the most prolific serial killer in Russia's history. So Pichushkin saw the televised trial of Chikatilo, and he was enamored with this trial and with this man. But it wasn't really in the way that you'd expect. Like when I first read that he was obsessed with this trial, I kind of thought about it as like the women who became obsessed with Ted Bundy during his trial, or like the women who followed the Columbine shooters. Like they were infatuated with the person himself and were like in love with him. But
Right.
no, Pichushkin was not in love with Chikatilo. Um, he more so almost took Chikatilo's crimes as a challenge because Chikatilo was the best serial killer in Russia. And Pichushkin thought maybe he could outdo him to win that title from him. Because, sure, he was really good at chess, and that's something he excelled at, but it wasn't getting him anywhere. It wasn't getting him the notoriety he kind of wanted or was seeking. Um, but this might. This could do it for him. And he was still seeking that sense of control that he once got from chess. And as I said, that wasn't good enough for him anymore. Um, do I keep sorry, I keep having duplicated slides and it's throwing me off. um, okay. So yeah, he basically thought Chikatilo is the best murderer in Russia. Well, I could be better.
That's
S-
a wild
yep.
stance to take on that.
I know. It's like, okay, maybe you can try something else. Try something
As
not murder.
especially for someone who presumably at this time has never killed anyone, and you're
Yeah.
going up against a man that has killed many of folks, and
Yeah,
that's
he
the first thought you have is, "I have."
right? Like you're
Yeah.
completely right. Up until this point, Petrushkin had never killed anybody. He
It
like obviously had like his aggression and stuff that kind of clouded his judgment, but he never killed anyone up until
Mhm.
this. He just saw the trial and was like, "Wow, I'm going to be better than him."
Reasonable.
That's yeah, that is wild after you guys pointed out that he had never killed anybody at this point. So just thinking like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna start killing people and become the best serial killer in Russia is
That's a big
wild to
jump.
go
Like
from 0
that's
to 100 like that.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that is a big escalation. It's like how did you get there? How
How do
did
you
you
know
come
you'll
to this
stomach it?
conclusion?
That
Yeah.
Yeah.
would be my thing. It's like, if you don't know what goes into killing someone, how do you know you could kill many of someone's?
Yeah.
Like, what if you kill one person, you're like, "Ooh, I don't wanna do this," but then you said, "Oh, but I have to beat Pichushkin."
But I told myself
Or
I'd
sorry, I
meet
have to
I'd
beat
beat him.
Chikatilo, yeah, Chikatilo. Hmm,
Wild.
Yeah, it's whack, honestly. That's the best word I have for it.
yeah.
Um, but anyways, with the trial of Chikatilo, Pichushkin had a newfound purpose for life: become the most prolific serial killer in Russia.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure of his reasoning for this next part, anyways. But even though Pichushkin was generally a loner, he grew up with like not very good social skills and he was bullied for a lot of years. But he did remember that his grandfather tried really hard to encourage social bonding, basically. His grandfather encouraged him to go out and still socialize and try to talk to people. Um, and there was apparently someone who he went to school with that he thought might understand him a little better. Apparently, this other guy also enjoyed chess, and maybe he didn't really partake in the bullying Push of Pichushkin as much. So he was like, "Oh, maybe I can trust this guy." Um, so initially, Pichushkin apparently wanted a partner in crime, someone that would go with him and partake in the killings, or maybe help him like decide who to victimize. So he reached out to this person from school that he thought could might be interested in also murdering people, basically. So this was at some point in 1992. Pichushkin was 18 years old, and he invited Mikhail Odichuk to Bitevsky Park with him to spend time together. Mikhail Odichuk, I had a lot of trouble actually finding information about him, than the fact that he was a victim of Pichushkin. Pichushkin. Sorry, there's now so many Russian words floating around in my head. I'm forgetting Pichushkin's name. Um, but yeah, I unfortunately I did have trouble finding much of any information specifically about Mikhail Odichuk. Um, but basically, at some point, Pichushkin and Mikhail were spending time together. I think they were already at the park, and Pichushkin had invited him to hang out. And then when Mikhail kind of asked, like, "What do you want to do? Like, do you want to go for a walk? You want to play chess?" Pichushkin told him that this was a killing expedition and that he had a fantasy of killing 64 people. It was enough to fill every space on a chessboard, and he wanted Mikhail to help him with his fantasy.
And what do you even say to that? Like, you're
Like,
18 years old, and this guy that you didn't bully in school but thought was kind of weird comes up to you and is like, I need to kill 64 people to fill this chessboard, and that's completely normal. Can you help me?
Can you help me,
sure,
please?
buddy. All right.
No.
Well,
But if I say no, are you gonna kill me? Like, I'm kind of a rock and a hard place here.
Yeah, that is exactly the concern. And unfortunately, I think that's probably the exact thinking that Mikhail had when he agreed to join Pechushkin at the park. He kept hanging out with him this day, like despite him being like, "We're going on a killing expedition." Um, I think at first Mikhail kind of thought Pechushkin was joking around, like, "Oh, he's just got a dark sense of humor." Um, or maybe he fully believed he was capable of it and he was just scared and didn't want to leave for fear of being killed. So he didn't want to upset Petrushkin and he played along. Like, both are very real possibilities.
Yeah.
Um, but either way, they were in the park together, and Mikhail realized that perhaps Petrushkin wasn't joking around. Petrushkin started pointing out people like, oh, maybe they could be a good victim because of XYZ. Oh, maybe we'll do it on this trail because it's very forested, it's not very frequented. Um, and Mikhail kind of got a little quiet, a little uncomfortable, understandably, kind of tried to shift the conversation somewhere else. And Pichushkin sensed that Mikhail was uncomfortable because of these small indicators, like kind of becoming quiet, trying to change the subject. Um, and unfortunately, it was around this time that Pichushkin realized that Mikhail was not as serious as he was about doing this crime spree together. So Petrushkin and Mikhail continued walking into the evening and just hanging out, spending the day together. And when Petrushkin noticed that there was no one else around, they were in a very forested area of the trail. He strangled Mikhail from behind, and there was differing accounts to this part. He either threw his body into a nearby well, which led into a very complex sewer system, so his body was never found. Or, and this is why I'm so confused by the differing accounts because they're so different, or he left Mikhail's body just right there in the middle of the trail and went home. And the police found the body the next day and questioned uh, Kaczynski. Two drastically different timelines, basically.
Yeah.
And I couldn't confirm which one was the truth. So either
Well,
way,
you were saying too before we recorded that the sources available were so all over the place because of the time at which it happened, it happening in Russia at that time, and so we really only have secondhand accounts. So I feel like much of what you're reading too is like translated variations of
mm-hmm,
possible things that happened. So I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised if they truly were just all over the place.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's very fair because that's exactly it. Like, I don't I don't speak or read Russian, um, and it was during the collapse of the Soviet Union or just after it, so they weren't really focusing on like media at that time. Like journalism wasn't at the forefront of what they were doing over there. Um, but yeah, so either he strangled Mikhail and threw him in a well, and Mikhail was never found again, which very possible, or they police found his body the next day, just in the field, basically on the trail, and Mikhail, according to the account I read, was actually questioned by police about this, but he was a really good liar, and the police were like, they didn't have enough evidence to connect him to it. So basically, like, the case went cold, and they were like, okay, moving on.
Wait, Mikhail was questioned or Pachushkin was questioned?
Sorry,
Okay.
Petrushkin.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah,
I was gonna
about
say
Mikhail.
he didn't die. Okay. Hmm.
This investigation really got bungled.
Yeah.
They
'Cause I'm like, well,
interviewed the victim.
the victim. They got a medium involved. Okay. Like, huh.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I feel like it could be both. Like, it could also be a mix of accounts too. The more we learn about other victims, like it could
hmm
be a mix of, well, this happened to a different person, but it got mixed up in reporting, so it's kind of all intertwined.
Yeah, very possible because the first one with like the strangling and throwing him in the well, you'll hear a little later on, was like his main MO for a long time.
Mm,
Or
Okay.
part of it was anyways.
Okay.
Um so yeah, I have written here that there was a police investigation into Mikhail's disappearance. I think that part was true. Whether or not they had a body, they were investigating Mikhail's disappearance, and Petrushkin was questioned. However, as I had mentioned, could have been the lack of physical evidence, could have been the fact they didn't even have a body. Petrushkin never got caught for the case, or the crime, and the case just kind of went cold, and Petrushkin just continued on with life like nothing ever happened.
hmm, hmm.
So, for reasons that still aren't entirely known, After this murder in 1992, Pichushkin just laid low, did his thing as a normal human for 10 years. He didn't kill again until 2001.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
I
crazy.
yeah,
wonder if those 10 years he was grappling with what happened and was like, "Can I beat Chikatilo? Can I not
Yeah,
beat Chikatilo? What should I do?" And just game planning it out for those 10 years.
honestly,
probably,
that's
yeah.
so possible. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, he's just psyching himself up. He's like,
Yeah,
okay,
he's like, "You can do
I
it.
need
You
to
can
do
do
that better. Yeah.
it."
Yeah, I didn't realize that he killed in the 2000s. Like, I thought all this was all done in the 90s or 80s.
I did too when I started researching. So when I saw the actual timeline, I was like very
Oh.
confused. Like I was seeing when I was researching, I was finding articles from 2007 and I was like, why was he so popular in 2007? And then there
Yeah.
was like, oh, he was on trial in 2007. That makes sense.
That's crazy.
Right? Yeah, this is a lot more recent than I had realized.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, he lived a normal life, stocking grocery shelves for 10 years. Um, he never moved out of the two-bedroom complex with his mother, so he still lived with his mother and half sister at this point. And during the 10 years, he also continued to frequent Bitsvesky Park, enjoying the calm nature trails and playing chess with anyone who would join him, but especially the group of older men that he'd grown close to as a younger boy. And by this point, he was joining them in drinking vodka while they played because he didn't feel like the vodka impacted his own decision making playing chess, but he knew it impacted others.
Right. Right. Okay.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yes. So he was like, I got a leg up here in these games. um, but for whatever reason, he decided to start killing again. His lust for murder just became too irresistible, and this is kind of where his killing spree would once again pick up. So on May 17th of 2001, Petrushkin went to the park as normal to play chess with his usual group. And it was there that he played against a 52-year-old man named Yevgeny Pronin. Following their game of chess, it was getting a bit dark. The sources I read said it was evening or like dusk ish. Um, he had asked if Yevgeny would take a walk with him. He was feeling a little bit down because he was headed towards his dog's grave. His dog, it was the anniversary of his dog's death, and he wanted to go to his grave to kind of just remember his dog and have a drink there and just mourn or celebrate life. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but you understand what I'm getting
Yes.
at.
Maybe
And that's
reminisce.
not weird because he
Yes,
likes
exactly.
animals an inappropriate amount
Yes.
or kill them.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and he actually did have a family dog growing up. So I think like the grave was real. Like that
Mhm.
wasn't a lie. He was actually going to visit the dog's grave. Whether or not it was the anniversary of the dog's death, I don't think it was. I think this was just a ruse.
Okay, okay.
But Yevgeny agreed to go on this walk with Petrushkin, and the two walked over to the dog's grave, which was, um, as I said, it was real. It that wasn't a front, so that wouldn't have really sparked any suspicions. Um, and then Petrushkin took out a vodka bottle and offered Yevgeny a drink. So the two toasted, they took a drink, and they just kind of enjoyed the evening together and with enjoying the nice weather, I suppose. Um, and then when Yevgeny was caught off guard, he had his back turned to Petrushkin, and it was then at this point that Petrushkin used the vodka bottle to strike Yevgeny over the back of the head, knocking him unconscious.
Okay.
There's once again, there's mixed accounts here. Um, some sources say that he was just knocked over the head hard once and then basically dragged into the well. Whether or not he was dead at this point wasn't known, but the well, it was a very long drop to the bottom, so they would have died or drowned in there if they were still alive. Um, and then some other reports say that he hit him over the head with the bottle upwards of 20 times, fracturing his skull. But either way, Yevgeny Cronin was the first or the second victim, but the first on his actual killing spree of Pichushkin. Um,
I find it
and his
interesting. Sorry to interrupt. I find it
That's
interesting
okay.
that escalation that we see. Like, I guess we don't really know how he. I know you said he strangled Mikhail or Michael Mikhail at first
Hmm.
10 years ago. So for him to then bludgeon someone on the back of the head, there seems to be more aggression involved, at least with this killing. And I'd be curious if it was like that 10 years something kind of happened and it was a bit
Yeah,
of a resentment, or I don't know, festering. Um, but it does seem like a shift from what happened the first killing to now in terms of degree at which it occurred.
yeah,
Mhm.
it totally does. Like I would agree bludgeoning is definitely more aggressive than strangling. They're both two means to an end of killing someone, which so they're both really bad, but one is more violent than the other.
Yeah, it just
And
feels like he's gotten more, like, brazen and confident with his killing. Like,
yeah,
he took those 10 years to
Yeah.
ruminate on, like, how he wanted to do it, what steps he was gonna take, how he was gonna go about it, and really plan out what he was gonna do, I feel like.
Yeah,
Something
exactly. Hmm. Yeah.
so I don't know, just little things that is curious to see the differences between his first kill and his second kill.
yeah.
Yeah, they seem drastically different, which is interesting, as you said, because typically, in the case of like a serial killer, the MO kind of slowly evolves. But
Mhm.
Yeah,
this was like a 180 kind of thing,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
interesting.
Hmm. Cool. Well, not cool, but fascinating, I
Interesting.
guess. Yeah, interesting's always the word of choice in our podcast. So
Yeah, yeah. So over the next 8 weeks following this, I keep wanting to say first murder. The first murder, following the first murder in 2001, which happened May 17th, 2001, in almost an identical manner to the killing of Yevgeny. He would play chess with his victims, ask them to go to his dog's grave. I think it was in a pretty secluded spot, so there wasn't usually people around at this grave. He would ask if they wanted some vodka, they'd have a drink, he'd hit them over the head, drag their bodies to the well. He murdered an additional 10 men over an 8 week period in this manner.
Oh my
whoa.
goodness.
Yeah, so it was from May to late July 2001. He killed 11 men,
Whoa.
Holy.
which is insane. I will also mention the majority of his victims were um, they were elderly men. Many of them were homeless. Many of them were
Mm,
vulnerable, so they didn't really
mhm,
have a support system, or they weren't necessarily being looked for if they went missing, which I believe is part of the reason we don't know a lot about many of the victims.
mm,
But there was at least three women that he targeted, which I didn't write in my notes one of these stories, but I just want to expand on it a little bit later. But I just wanted to note that he did also victimize three women and I believe a teenage boy as well. But most of his victims were elderly men.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say, like, 11 people going missing or murdered, like, in 8 weeks from that park, I feel
from
like
the
they
same
would,
area, yeah.
yeah, kinda be like, "Let's maybe stake out
Hey,
this park, see what's
Thomas
going
Yeah.
going
on." Yeah, intriguing.
Something's happening.
Yeah, like, okay, these are the regulars that play chess. Okay, he's not dying, so I'm going to assume that he's the one killing.
Yeah, right? Because if all your
Crazy.
regulars are dying, it's like, okay, which one is not?
Yeah.
or at least have someone there watching, like playing
Mhm.
chess or like observing if they know. But again, if they're vulnerable populations and not many connections. Maybe the police don't even know that they play chess there all the time. But I guess there'd be
That's
a
true.
link back to them. Wasn't there a link back to that place? I don't know. Either way, 11 people in that amount of time is strange and would
Yeah,
be
Yeah,
it's a
cause
lot.
for hey, what's going on?
absolutely. Um, so after this 8-week spree, he took another short break. He didn't kill anyone else in 2001. It wasn't until I want to say February 2002, but I could be misremembering because I didn't write down the specific month. But it wasn't until early 2002 that he would go on to murder or attempt to murder someone again. Um, Part of that, like, I kind of think part of that could have been like, okay, I just killed a lot of people. Maybe I should lay low and see if the police do anything.
Yeah.
And then like the police didn't do anything, or at least he didn't think they were, so he kept going. That's kind of like my hunch, but it also just could have been like lack of opportunity because it gets very cold in Moscow in the winter time, and it was kind of getting to the winter time, so less people frequenting the park. So maybe it was just less opportunity. But either way, in 2002, another spree began. Um, the first victim that he would attempt to kill in 2002 was a pregnant woman. This
Oh.
pregnant woman was attempted to be murdered in the same manner as the rest of them, hit over the head, dragged into the well. But she wasn't dead when she was dragged into the well. And just by pure happenstance, I don't know if it was a police officer or an innocent civilian, someone walked by the well she was thrown into and heard her screaming. And so they
Oh my
managed, yeah, so they managed to get her out of the well, get her to the hospital. She filed a police report, and the police did absolutely nothing, even though she even knew the name of who did this to her. It was said
Wow.
it was
I'm
said that the investigator on her case that was taking her information actually blackmailed her to not try to go further with this investigation.
Are we
And
surprised at this point when we hear these things about police? like,
like he tried
what?
to murder a pregnant woman. Like those are some of the most like in most places they're like sacred people. Like you just don't do anything against a mother and their child. And she
Yeah,
has the name, where the individual was, what he looks like, and they're
Women
just
are just
like
crazy, Journey. Why would we ever believe a woman? Why
it's
would we ever?
hysterical. Oh my god.
I
Holy
will note though that her baby survived. So she
good,
was
good,
still able to give birth. The baby
good.
survived the ordeal as well. So that is a little tiny light in a very, very, very dark tunnel.
Yes.
So, okay, question just because of my lack of knowledge on wells and sewer systems, though. Because you were saying with the first victim years ago, he was
Hmm.
a theory was that he was put in the well, carried off through the system, never to be found.
Yeah.
Like, was she unconscious when she went in, regained consciousness, and then like was holding on to something? Do you know? Like, this could just be theory too or speculation, but did she?
I unfortunately have no idea. Like what I read about these wells was it was a pretty significant drop.
Yeah.
So a lot of times if they were just unconscious, he assumed that they would either drown or die from impact by throwing them down this well. And then in addition to that, this well was connected to the sewer system
Yeah.
which was said to be really complex. And he knew that a lot of people probably wouldn't be found or would be found somewhere totally different than the park if
Hmm.
they were thrown in. So I have no idea how she managed to not get swept away in this
Yeah.
well. I don't know. Maybe there was like a drought or something and the well was like empty. I honestly I couldn't find that information.
That's fair.
Um but either way, she screamed, someone heard her, thank God.
Mhm.
Um and she didn't immediately get justice, but she got some sense of justice when he ended up getting convicted.
Mhm.
But still, being blackmailed by a cop to not try to go
Crazy.
forward with pressing charges is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's wild.
Like, and then you gotta well, you never know with the police, but you would think, like, did he have some connection? Do they actually know and they don't care? Are they hiding it because they don't want another, like, notorious serial killer like Chikatilo or whatever?
Oh, that's possible.
Right? Like, it's why would you what is the reason for blackmailing at that point? What do you gain from
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Except,
I've
yeah,
I've read
no,
too many
it's
things about corrupt cops recently that I my brain just spirals.
no, I don't
Uh,
blame you. Yeah, it's like obviously there's good cops out there, but we only hear about the bad ones. There's a lot of them.
yeah.
It's just like they're like, why do we get such bad raps? And then you hear stuff like this, and you're like, well, stop blackmailing pregnant victims of serial killers. Like,
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that too
and then
hard?
maybe,
Is that too hard?
maybe we'd give you a little more respect.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, with the attempted murder of this pregnant woman, and I'm so sorry, I cannot remember her name and I didn't write it down, but she has a name. Um, and I'm going to look it up really quickly. Her name was Maria Veracheva. Um, she was 3 months pregnant and only 19 years old when
Oh
she
my
was
god.
almost murdered by Pichushkin. Holy moly. His
It's
name doesn't
one of
sound
the
real
others.
anymore.
Yeah. It's one of them.
Um, yeah,
Wow.
but yeah, her name, because we shouldn't forget it, is Maria Veracheva. So, following this, um, he had a lot of victims. So I'm kind of summarizing here. Um, his spree picked up in 2002 and basically didn't stop until 2005. Actually, past 2005. But I will say that between 2002 and September 2005, Pichushkin would go on to target another 26 people, three of whom um, or two of whom survived. He had three survivors, and one of them was Maria. Um, but the manner in which he attacked and disposed of their bodies was the same every time. Go for a walk in the park, see dead dog, drink some vodka, hit them, throw them in the well. Um, this was how it was done for 26 victims during this 3 year period.
Wow.
I will
Uh,
say, no, like, just going into this with his moniker being the chessboard killer, I thought chess would have had a much more prominent role in the killings, not just that he wanted to fill like the board, a chessboard with the amount of folks.
I know. I honestly, I expected the same. Uh, but yeah,
And I guess
there's.
where they're going missing is from kind of the park where chess is prominent, but I don't know why I
Mhm.
just associated the actual killing themselves would be more chess related.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think there was a Criminal Minds episode about this guy, and I feel like they might have involved chess
Probably.
more heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
There
Yeah.
was one because he will never sacrifice his king or his queen because he's so attached to his mom.
Mm.
And so now whenever I play chess, I feel like it's a bad thing to sacrifice your queen, so I just, like, protect her to no end. And everyone's always like, "No, you can sacrifice your queen." I'm like, "But you're not supposed to." Like, no, it's just the Criminal Minds episode that has changed
That
the
was
way
a
I play
criminal
chess.
that did that. It's fine.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But no, I thought that he'd be, like, turning his victims into chess pieces.
Yeah, like some token or something. I don't know if that's just our sense of morbidity or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I was anticipating like creating a chessboard or like I don't know, something like that.
I yeah, honestly, I went into this thinking the same thing, and then yeah, it is revealed in the end like that chess was ever so slightly more involved, but
Okay.
not much. It was pretty much just like he played chess with a lot of the victims and then lured them to their deaths essentially.
Right.
Um so following September 2005, Petrushkin's attacks started to stray away from his usual MO. They got increasingly violent with more and more repeated blows to the head. Um, by this point, he wasn't only using a vodka bottle, he was hitting them with a hammer, vodka bottle, pretty much any really hard, blunt object that he could get his hands on to hit them with.
Mm.
Um, and then I'm not positive he did this for all of his victims, but from what I could find, many of them, this was the situation. After they had died, because of course there's severe blunt force trauma to their skulls, he would insert an empty vodka bottle into the wound that he had created in their skull, almost like a signature. Like if they were to be found, they're all connected that way. Also, at this point, I believe, again, it was a little bit iffy here. I was getting mixed accounts, but at this point, like past September 2005, he had kind of, it's almost like he stopped caring. He wasn't disposing of their bodies in the sewer anymore. He was basically just leaving them in the park, like wherever he killed them. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So it just seemed like he was getting more aggressive and less careful. Um, which honestly we do see with a lot of serial killers as like their need for killing, like the satisfaction they get from it is no longer enough, so they start doing more and more and more, which ultimately can lead to mistakes.
Yeah.
um so between October 2005 and June 2006, so just under a year, Pichushkin would go on to kill another 13 people. And 10 of them actually lived in the same building complex as him. So their building complex was 4 apartment buildings all in like a square. And 10 of the victims lived in that 4 apartment complex.
Wow.
That's just
I cannot
lazy,
believe how many people he's killed.
I
right?
know. It's ridiculous.
Sorry,
Hmm.
what did you say, Nicole?
I was just saying it's lazy, like you had kind of mentioned. Like he just stopped caring.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everything you're doing can be tied back to you now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So then I don't
exactly.
know. I always think of the why, and I probably don't need to know the why, but like what changed? What caused that shift to be like, oh well, it doesn't matter. Was he under the assumption that, oh, I'm gonna beat Andre Chikatilo? I always forget his last name. But am I gonna beat him so my last few moves don't care? Because either way, I come out on top.
Yeah.
That's
No.
possible. So he would end up taking his final victim's life in June of 2006. It was his coworker, Marina Moskelyova. Marina had already been uneasy and suspicious of Petrushkin for a while. Like she just basically he gave her bad vibes. Um, but he asked if she wanted to go on a walk, and she still agreed to go with him. Um, this wasn't a great decision, but we can't blame her. We don't know the reasons that she went on this walk. But she was still smart about it. She actually left a note for her son before she left, letting him know that she was going on a walk with Pichushkin, and she left his phone number as well.
Oh,
Good.
nice.
So his full name and phone number are written on a note. Hey, I'll be back soon, going out with this guy.
Good.
Um, and apparently, Petrushkin was fully aware that she left this note. Like he knew. Like she told him, "Hey, I'm just leaving a note." He was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." Um, but he was undeterred by this. He just didn't care. And in the same manner that he took the lives of the other victims, he took Marina's as well.
That sucks.
Yeah. So when Marina's body was discovered by police, they had found a metro ticket in her pocket. I don't know if it was a subway or a train or a bus, but either way, they found a metro ticket in her pocket. And this led investigators to check the surveillance footage of the metro station where the ticket was from. And they saw on the surveillance footage just hours before her discovery that Marina and Petrushkin were walking together down the platform. So, with the note and the surveillance footage, police arrested Petrushkin, who wasted absolutely no time confessing. He quickly began confessing that this wasn't his only murder. He's murdered lots of other people, and he even he was willing to, and ended up taking them up on this. He brought the police to the various locations that he was disposing of his victims.
Did he get like
So
a plea deal because of this, a lighter sentence, or was he just like, "Hey, this is what I did. Let's look."
pretty much that. He was like,
Okay.
"Yeah, I killed a lot of people. You want to see where they went?"
Yeah, I
um,
wonder if he almost like wanted to get caught so that he could get the notoriety and be like, "Look, I beat
Yeah.
Andre Chikatilo because
Yeah.
look how many people I killed, and I'll tell you everything because I'm better than him."
Hmm.
yeah, I was actually just gonna note that. So obviously during the investigation, the police found that note left, and he said, "Oh yeah, I knew about the note." And police asked, like, "Why would you still kill her if you knew that she left that? Like, that's damning evidence." And he had said in an interview, he said, "It was kind of a suicide. I just couldn't go on. I was severely depressed at the time." So he did not care that he was getting caught at this point. It's almost like he wanted to.
Right. Okay.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, upon investigating to gather more evidence for trial to support that Pichushkin had in fact killed all of the people that he was claiming to have killed, Pichushkin handed over his personal notebook to the police for investigation. Um, and he stated to the police as he handed it over, he said, "I am a great fan of chess." And in the notebook, he had drawn a chessboard, so all 64 squares. And on 61 of the squares, he had written dates, which represented each day that Petrushkin had taken a life.
Wow. I will
Okay.
say, not to like promote and say, "Hey, you could have killed more people," but if you're at 61 out of 64, it's just there's 3 other folks to fill in those names. Why are you cutting it off so early?
Well,
I'm
I'm
glad because he didn't
curious.
kill 3 other people, but, like, that was your whole plan, and now you just
That's
said, "Bah, fuck it."
that's
I
very
don't
true,
know.
but I'm curious because he had 3 survivors.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knew they survived,
Good
but
point.
he did have 3 survivors, so it's hard to say.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Hmm. Petrushkin's trial began in late 2007, and on October 24th of 2007, after only 3 hours of deliberation, um, he was convicted of 49 murders and 3 attempted murders. Reportedly,
Why only 49 murders, not 61?
well, apparently they couldn't find enough hard evidence that he had killed those other people. I don't know. I think some of them, like, they couldn't even find a body for them.
Oh, okay.
And there just wasn't any other evidence aside from his confession, which they didn't feel comfortable convicting him on.
Okay.
But reportedly, at trial, he asked if they could add his additional 11 victims to the total count, as he confessed, because he confessed to them, but police couldn't find enough evidence. Um, he My guess is that he asked to include the bodies, or like the victims, because then he would officially surpass Chikatilo as the most prolific
Mhm.
serial killer. um because right now, he, like, in terms of how many he was convicted of, he doesn't beat Chikatilo with his numbers. um
So officially, he's second best, but he knows that to him, he actually did surpass. So it was a like
yeah,
unfair situation in a sense.
yeah, exactly. So that's like my guess for
Yeah.
why he wanted them included. But in a later interview, like after his trial and like while he was in jail, he stated, quote, "I thought it would be unfair to forget about the other 11 people."
Yeah, no, you
Um,
just wanna be better than Chikatilo, and the court was like, "No, screw you.
huh.
You need to think that you're not as good as him because that's
Wild
hilariously ironic."
competition. Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for his crimes, Petrushkin was sentenced to life imprisonment, with the first 15 years to be spent in solitary confinement.
Wow.
Kid, that's
I mean,
extreme.
okay, but
Yeah.
didn't know
he
that was a sentencing option.
I didn't
Okay.
either, but I guess in Russia, they don't care.
Yeah, they do their own thing. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
Yeah.
question that, actually.
Yeah. So he appealed. He didn't appeal because he was like, "I'm innocent." He appealed because he thought his sentence was too harsh. Um, but the judge didn't agree, so that's the sentence he served. Um, so to this day, because he is still alive, he's literally my parents' age. Um, he is still being held in solitary confinement at the Arctic penal colony called Polar Owl, which is in very north Russia. Very cold place.
Interesting.
That sounds like purgatory in a little bit, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, it totally does. Like literally a jail in the Arctic, and he's in solitary confinement there. And I don't know how long he's been in solitary, but given he was supposed oh wait, this would have been
This
like 15 years. That's crazy because I keep thinking that this happened in like the 90s.
very side tangent, but it sounds like a villain origin story of like
Mhm.
an Avengers DC movie of like he spent all this time solitary in the middle of nowhere in Russia. Who knows what's
Yep.
going on once
He's
Yeah.
solitary
the new Winter
confinement's done.
Soldier.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
That's crazy
Hmm.
because, like, 15 years of solitary confinement is cruel. And I understand that he killed 61 people, which is obviously just as cruel. But it just seems so excessive.
Uh-huh, I agree. Like he's already spending life in prison. If he's not being violent in prison, if he's not like trying to harm the guards, the other inmates, whatever, like there's no reason for him to be in solitary. He's already in
15
probably one
years.
of the worst prisons in the world. It's
Yeah.
in the Arctic.
Yeah. Yep.
um yeah, like there's really no reason for him to have to be in solitary. If anything, that's just going to make him more violent when he finally gets out of solitary. But
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say
uh
they've kept him longer than 15. It's been a couple years longer than 15 years. So I wonder if something like happened while imprisoned that kind of prolonged the solitary confinement. Because if he went in 2008, let's say, even though his trial was October 2007, 2023 would have been his 15 years.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's true. And the article that I got that from that says like he's still being held there was from like it was just last year. It was 2025 the article was written. So,
Oh
Hmm.
my
um
goodness.
yeah, so I don't know. Something could have happened. They could
Or
just
they
be
just don't
like,
care.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. They could just be like, what's another few years?
Yeah. Huh.
Interesting.
So there's additional news reports from early 2025 that state Pichushkin said he's ready to confess to an additional 11 murders, but I'm confused about that. One, I couldn't find any more information to suggest that there was like a formal confession or new trial or anything, but also, like, I'm confused because I'm assuming the 11 he said he's ready to confess to are the 11 he asked to be added to the
Yeah.
case in 2007. So I'm not sure what the point of reconfessing would be. I don't
Mm,
know if he thinks now they would add it to the case or like the conviction.
Or
Um
maybe he's like, I have another 11 that you guys don't know about to really try and just beat that number, which is
yeah.
yeah,
stupid. But if there's no
honestly,
evidence, I don't know.
yeah, honestly that's possible too. I just thought that was interesting to include cuz like there's literally like up until last year there's he's clearly still trying to contact some people or he's clearly still like relevant enough that we're writing articles about him. Like he wants his fame, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think that's all the more reason to not give it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it would be intriguing, like, what is he gonna do once he gets that 11?
Sure,
Like,
but you get another 15-year solitary confinement. Like,
Yay.
yeah, like,
okay.
what do you get from that other than, like, personal satisfaction? But is that enough? Like, are you gonna be
Well,
happy with that? Or are you gonna be like, "Oh, no, just kidding. Here's 11 more."
he's
Yeah,
probably
right?
been like wallowing in self-pity for the last 15 years, crying about how he's not number one. So I would guess
True.
personal satisfaction is
Yeah,
the number one priority for him, but I
That's
don't know.
fair.
I'm not him.
wild.
Yeah. We'll never completely know his reasoning, but it's probably not a good one anyways.
True.
Um so that's pretty much the whole life and case of Pichushkin, I just wanted to end on like a couple statements he made during interviews in the years following his conviction. Um, so, a couple things he has said about murder. Pichushkin stated, quote, "For me, life without murder is like life without food for you. I felt like the father of all these people since it was me who opened the door for them to another world." Unquote. And then
Ugh,
he
What a
also
wild
stated during
statement.
I know, it's like,
Sorry.
why do you feel like their father? What do you
I feel
mean?
like there's that's a whole nother layer to just unpack about who he was as a person and his belief systems and like just
Yeah.
something else that isn't shared.
Yeah.
Yeah, like saying he opened the door to another world. It's like, no, you
Yeah.
killed them and threw them in a sewer.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. And then he also had apparently stated during interviews that choosing or getting to choose the fate of his victims made him feel like a god. Quote, "In all cases, I killed for only one reason. I killed in order to live, because when you kill, you want to live."
That
I
makes me furious. Like, how dare you kill someone, take away their life, and be like, yeah, that made me want to live my life because I took yours away because you can't have it. So I get it.
Does he think
Yeah.
he's like absorbing their life essence with every like person he kills at this point? I feel like this just there's so much more to unpack with this.
I know.
Oh
I
my
know.
goodness.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Wild.
it's yeah, it was a he was a bad guy. It was
Yep.
and like it's so unfortunate. Like obviously we can't like cause and effect. He got a head injury as a child. He's a serial killer now. But like just the fact that he had none of the typical signs of like a growing up to be a serial killer when he was a kid. Like by all accounts, he was a normal, sweet young child who
Yeah.
just like happy with the world. And then he fell off a swing, and the swing hit him in the head, and he got all aggressive and hostile and
I would
bad.
like to know like what the swing was made out of, how fast that swing was going, because to get hit in the head so hard by a swing that your entire personality changes.
Well, it reminds me of that guy that you always learn about in psychology
Phineas
classes.
Gage.
Yes, when you got a railroad spike in the eye, and then all of a sudden you're a mean asshole. Um, but it's like, okay, obviously there was some sort of brain damage, but I feel like getting hit in the head with the swing is also a passage of childhood, like a rite of passage if you're a
Yeah.
child. That's happened to so many people where you're swinging, you don't realize it's coming back, you get hit again. So I'd be
Yeah.
Yeah.
curious where specifically that was hit, where he got hit, because
Hmm.
that definitely had a part in it, but
Yeah.
not to that degree, I would think. To
Yeah.
the degree
I
in which like he turned out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, I
Or if
completely agree.
yeah, or if he was like exhibiting these aggressive tendencies or whatever, but it wasn't until after this happened that the mother started noticing,
And then
or
it was just
because
an
he
easy
was like
excuse.
4. Kids
Yeah.
go through a lot of emotional roller
Yeah.
coasters.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
it could just be that she's like, "Oh, this is just regular 3 or 4-year-old behavior," and then after that, she's like, "Oh, no, he's actually a bit of an asshole." It's rude to call a 4-year-old an asshole, but in this case, I feel like it's
But
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
And then it blames it on the
They're
swing set, like, there's
yeah,
so
looking for
many
something to
factors.
yeah.
That's
Hmm.
fair. Yeah. And unfortunately, we'll never
We'll never see
know the real answer. We can only speculate, which is so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's tough because you don't wanna give them their 15 minutes of fame because
yeah.
they're horrible people, but as humans, we just have this need to understand,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's so difficult to kind of satiate one without satiating the other, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Rebecca. That went in a completely different direction than I thought it was going to, and I really enjoyed learning about him. Um, that sounds weird considering what he did, and he's a terrible person, but, um, it was
It was interesting.
Enlightening.
yeah.
We'll just go with that.
Yeah, I feel like everyone who listens knows what we mean, so I feel like yeah. Anyway, thank you for sharing. It was crazy, crazy, and I will be thinking about it for the rest of the day for sure. Nicole, you said you have a little forensic corner?
Just a little update for one that we covered a couple episodes ago, but
Ooh,
I'm sure you all remember the robbery from the Louvre.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Okay, so they have all four alleged members of the crew have been arrested. So
Okay.
Okay.
that's been done. They have not yet found, I guess, the overall mastermind. So it
Oh.
seems
Interesting.
like there's a ringleader that's just mysteriously there. And they haven't found the remaining jewels, unfortunately. Those are just
Ooh.
kind of gone. And this is what is it? Approximately $149 million in
Okay.
jewels just gone.
Yep.
But
I cannot believe how expensive rocks are.
yeah,
It's just a
yep.
really pretty polished rock.
A little
I
stone or
love
two.
rocks, but still.
But the main thing that caught my eye is they posted photos of the crown that they weren't that they left or that kind of fell.
Oh,
So they posted photos that was left squashed and deformed after being abandoned. And so we'll post pictures on the site too. But we know like this was before, right?
yeah.
Okay.
I guess they had to try and fit that crown through the hole that they created, which I don't think they accounted for the size of the crown because it did not fit. This is after.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I'll
oh no.
text I'll text it to you guys too. But that's the after. But surprisingly, it's nearly intact, although badly deformed, and they should be able to restore the entirety of the crown without the need for like reconstruction. So it
Wow.
seems like it can be fixed. And the interesting part with it being fully restored, it's only missing, so it has all 56 emeralds still intact. It's
Hmm.
only missing 10 diamonds out of the 1,354, which one
Holy
crazy
shit.
amount of
That's
diamonds in there.
wild.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And of the 8 golden eagles that adorned it around, only one is missing.
Hmm.
So, grand scheme of things, gold is very malleable. Gold can be reshaped, and they
Yeah.
basically have all of the precious precious gems in that.
That's
That-
crazy.
What a well-made
So,
Huh.
crown.
right? But yeah, they made off the 8 other items of jewelry. Still haven't been found, but the crowd
Crazy.
can be fixed. So I guess,
So that's
I guess,
good.
I guess that's nice.
That's
Yeah,
so
I
Um,
nuts.
have.
And like these are the people who did it because I remember there was a post going around that
allegedly,
these two other individuals did it, and one of them turned out to have died a couple years ago, and one was in a crime that was completely
Oh,
separate.
I think
interesting.
yeah, I think the individual making those posts was very much like a first search result. These guys look like they could do it. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
because I had seen those pictures around for a while. So
yeah. But allegedly 4 individuals have been arrested.
okay.
Well, that's okay. We're making some leeway.
Progress.
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 Some good old fashioned, not bank heist, some good old fashioned art heist progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, jewelry heist. But yeah, it's very quick, very short, but I figured it on topic for some of the other ones we had done.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll find out more if they end up finding this mastermind. I don't know.
No, that's cool. Thank you for sharing because I have completely like it has just
It's
stopped
gone.
showing up on my feed.
The amount of I'm not going to get into this. The amount of news and information that we're bombarded with daily, it just like you can only be shocked for 2 milliseconds now, and then you're on to the next thing. So
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
heist is just long gone. That was a decade ago in my brain. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the news is we know too many things now, and
yeah.
it's alarming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It is overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
um but yeah, jewelry heists still going on. They're still searching.
Nice. Crazy. That's so wild. Well, thank you for sharing. Our next topic is about Her name kind of gives away the big reveal at the end.
We'll keep it a mystery. We'll keep it a mystery.
So I'll just say it's about Sheila Keen. It involves a clown. If you don't like clowns, maybe don't listen. It's a really interesting case. My mom told me about it. I'm really excited to share with you guys. But yeah, so we will be talking about that on our next episode. And if you guys want to stay up to date with what we are doing, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok at What the Forensics. Our website is whattheforensics.ca. And it's kind of your one-stop shop for everything forensics. We've got our sources, episode images, recommendations for books or movies or TV shows or whatever that correlate to the cases we've talked about. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at whattheforensics@gmail.com. And with that, this has been another episode of What the Forensics. We hope you learned something new, and we're excited to see you next time. Bye! Just a reminder to everyone that we are not professionals in the forensic science field. We are just interested in forensics and want to share what we are learning with our listeners. We're trying to give you the most accurate information, but we are human and can make mistakes. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you next week.